I was sleeping on my aunt's recliner chair. I did that for 2.5 years. And my back honestly survived. Like, I actually...
2.5
years.
Ooh la la. I lied to you. You thought this was going to be a podcast and turns out it's a singing competition.
Oh my gosh, I was just doing karaoke the other night.
Actually?
Yeah, I visited Jersey for my parents, and we have a karaoke machine in the house. That's how much we do karaoke.
Oh my God, I had no idea. Yeah. And how did I know I was going to intro it to a perfect little moment?
I know.
But before we get into what Kianni was doing over the weekend, I want to say welcome back to Barely Scraping By. Today's guest is really interesting. This connection stemmed from LinkedIn, which honestly is becoming my matchmaker for
it's the
industry
best.
Connections.
Yeah.
And that's how I've done it so far. So that's how I met Kianni, and I want to... You have been an interesting, in a good way.
Okay.
You have been such an interesting person in my navigation of the industry, because when I was hearing your journey and how you got into the industry and how you're doing it, you just go get things. And so it's being around you and having you in my life and having you help me navigate this industry and hearing you talk about your position and how you got your position and how you moved up is just wow, you just do it. And you stop at nothing to get it done. And when you were talking, we're going to get into all the things that you've done, but basically that's been such a guiding light for me, because I really do, like I said on our last hangout a couple weeks ago, I truly do take what you say and internalize it and do run with it. And it's what you're saying is not falling on deaf ears. It truly does make an impact on me. That's why I continue to reach out to you and want you in my life and want you on the pod. So I wanted to bring this voice and these conversations to this podcast, because they've been so influential to me to be stop at nothing to get it. You can keep going. And our last hangout was about the hardships of, the industry and how, you're kind of struggling right now, trying to figure out your space and where you're at in the company and all those good things. But Kianni Keys is an amazing person to have in your life. And I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. And I'm so excited to have you in my life and orbiting around the entertainment and just as a friend and someone who helps me a lot.
Wow. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, LinkedIn has been very helpful in various parts of my journey, but I'm honestly not really on it anymore. I feel like I was kind of addicted to it. I treated it like a video game. You just connect with as many people as possible. But I feel like I've been talking about LinkedIn in other places, and then people message me, and I log in on LinkedIn 2 months later. I'm oh shit, they messaged me on there. So I'm glad that the synergy kind of connected with us. I feel like it was fate a little bit.
Oh, 1000%.
Yeah.
And it's oh my God, I'm obsessed. When we were having that conversation, I was okay, you're here to stay. You've been clocked and you're in my life and you're not going anywhere. And since then, it's stayed consistent.
Yeah.
But before we get into all the fun little questions that I have written up about you, I kind of just want to have a little itching of the surface of what brought you to the industry, what brought you to LA, how you're here today, and giving some background on who you are and what you're up to.
Yeah. So I was born in New York, and then I moved to Jersey when I was pretty young. So I basically just say I'm from Jersey, because New Yorkers would get mad. I grew up there for a while. I lived in Montclair, which is where the film festival was. When I was in middle school, I took acting classes, and at the time, Montclair Film Festival functioned out of a church basement. And that's where I took my first screenwriting class, was in that basement, when I was 12, 13. And then I like to say that NYU groomed me, but that's a horrible phrase. I guess they raised me in a way.
Shaped you.
Yeah, they shaped me. Thank you.
They groomed me.
Because I lived so close, since Montclair is just a 30-minute train ride to Manhattan. I did a lot of programs there, writing. I did the spring program there in high school, and then I did the summer program there. And doing both of those programs, I had a professor, Joe Vinciguerra, who then my senior year of high school became the chair of the Department of Dramatic Writing, and he wrote me I guess it's kind of nepo, he wrote me my recommendation letter to get into Tisch. And then I got in, and I worked really hard, graduated into the strike, and there were no writer's assistant jobs, there were no room jobs because everything was shut down. And I thought I was going to leave the country. Like, I thought I was going to go to India or Korea because I was basically using my last year of college to study local language media formats and to see if I can go work in local language industries. But then I had a couple internships. My first one was at NBC, working for a fellowship with Sue Hugh, who was doing Pachinko season 2 at the time. And she was amazing. She's such a mentor to me. And she, despite me working for the fellowship called 1,000 Miles Project, which I love and adore and still talk to people from that fellowship to this day, it unfortunately got shut down after the first season of the fellowship. And she let me kind of observe the process of Pachinko season 2, which turned out to be so amazing. Pachinko season 1 was like coming out at the time of me working for her. And then unfortunately, since that shut down, I pursued other internships. I worked at Wayward Films, which is Yann Damage's company. And that's kind of when I learned about how Europe worked. He's French. So I was, and it was also like film as well. I had only really worked in TV at the time. So that was like a fun little change. And then I also interned for Amplify Pictures, which is where I work now. And that was just so amazing. And they really were kind of different than the other companies that I had worked at because they just really valued what I had to say and what I had to contribute. And so I kept talking with them. And when I graduated, I'm very close with all of my cousins. And a cousin who's a similar age as me, he was graduating one of the UCs, so I flew over to go visit, and I decided to stop by the Amplify office at the time. So I was like, hey, can I pop by? I was a Romo intern, so I had never met any of them in person. I was like, hey, can I stop by and see how tall everyone is and like actually see you guys in person? And I went. I had Mendocino Farms. We got sandwiches, which I'm now like addicted to. The peach hot honey peach sandwich is like my favorite. You know it?
I know. Oh, do I know
Yeah,
it? My
yeah,
old
yeah.
roommate used to work for Mendocino.
Oh my
so
God.
I'm like all up and down that establishment.
Oh, it's so good. I really hope it doesn't end, but it's seasonal. The hot honey peach sandwich.
Or the not so fried chicken.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that
Oh my
one has
gosh.
me by the balls. Like truly has me by like
Yeah.
whatever they got going on that. Like I am there to
I know.
say.
And they have great salads too. This is like becoming a commercial for Mendo, but I love that place. So we got that. That was my first Mendo sandwich. It was so awkward. I had no idea what to say. Everyone, I mean, the company's pretty small, so it was like 4 people, but it was everyone like gathered in the room to like, have lunch with me. And I was like, how's it going? Like, I just had no idea what to say. And I left and I thought they all hated me and it wasn't going to work, or I was never going to hear from any of them again. And then literally the next day I got a phone call if I could cover for the current assistant who was there while she was on vacation. So I was like, oh my God. At that point, it had been like maybe a month or 2 after my graduation, and I was applying everywhere. I couldn't find anything, which is why I was gearing up to leave the country. My parents would knock on my door and be like, hey, have you heard back about anything? I'd be like, don't talk to me, please. Like, I'm so stressed. Like, and literally the next day after I had that really awkward sandwich, they were like, do you want to cover for the assistant? I was like, oh my God, literally anything to put on my resume. So I canceled my ticket home to Jersey. I went in, I covered for that assistant, and then it became my job. I then became a temp. And then just for context, my Amplify is across New York, LA, and Amsterdam. And so I was the sole assistant for 4 execs turned 6 execs. And it completely consumed my life. I was sleeping on my aunt's recliner chair. I did that for 2.5 years. And my back honestly survived. Like, I actually
2.5
years of sleeping on a recliner chair. So it's not even like all the way back. It's like,
I'm learning things as yours. I'm like, I didn't know this. I didn't know that. I had no idea.
I love talking about that recliner chair. It's like my ass mark is literally in that chair because I would
2.5 years is a moment.
Yeah. And actually once I moved, because I moved fairly recently, I guess almost half a year ago, But when I got a bed, I was like, I couldn't sleep in it because I was like, what is this? To sleep all the way back, like completely flat and not at like a strange angle, which is why I'm so good at traveling, because I can just sleep in the chair.
God, before we keep going into these little
Yeah,
moments,
I'm sorry.
No, I'm loving it. I want to do a little body boot moment, because we have this little segment where I want you to pull a question from the body boots.
Okay.
And then onward we go.
Are you saying baddie boots?
Like it's a baddie. It's a baddie boots.
No, okay, I agree.
There's little questions in here. And
Wow.
I want, before I get too lost in your sauce of a crazy life, I want you to pull a question, read it out loud, and answer it. And then onward we go, my friend. Back into the recliner chair.
Okay.
I like that you're closing your eyes and you're taking it so seriously.
Do I read it?
Read it out loud.
How has this industry damaged your self-worth or mental health?
It's a heavy one.
Yeah, it is really heavy. This is perfectly timed to like what I was talking about in the story.
I love this.
Because I was the only person at the company that was my age. Everyone was around like 15 to 20 years older than me. I have always been used to being like the sole intern or working alone. So I just didn't understand work-life balance. I was so passionate and I cared so much. And that's like truly what got me to where I am now. But I think that can go to a really toxic place of like, because of all the time zones that I was working with, and just me, because there's that phrase that people use, like go above and beyond. If you want to get noticed, go above and beyond. And I was so used to doing that. And so I would like volunteer to do all the personal stuff for everyone, like in any time zone. I'd be like, literally anything. And they wouldn't even ask for it. And I thought I was being above and beyond. And it became like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that. Like, I actually love doing this, but as an example, our CCO in Amsterdam was taking the Dutch citizenship test and was like learning Dutch. And I literally downloaded Duolingo and like only watched Dutch television shows to like learn Dutch to help her learn Dutch.
I started this episode by saying you do the damn thing and you do it, and this is just literally one little thing of all the things that I've heard you say.
Yeah, it's just like, I did think it was fun, and it was like a fun little thing that we did, but it's like, okay, I really shouldn't have done that, because it's not my job. It's like, it's not helping the company at all. I think I just sometimes I took it way too far, because there was nobody who was telling me, hey, maybe you don't have to do that. Don't feel obligated to do that. And I would be waking up at 5, driving to the office at 5:30. I would work. I would go to my car in the parking lot. I'd take a 15-minute nap at like 3 p.m. And then I would keep grinding at the office until like 10 p.m. And then I would go home, and then I would still be on email for when the Amsterdam office woke up at like 11:30 p.m. And I would just keep doing that. I don't know how I did it. And then I would also, on top of that, I was also trying to keep writing. So I would do that from like 2 to 3 a.m. I mean, it was just like, I wouldn't sleep, and I got into this rhythm of doing it. And around like a year or so in, the burnout hit me so bad, and I started getting really frustrated at myself. Like, why do I not want to over volunteer myself anymore? Like, I'm starting to get like pissy at people for asking me to do things that honestly were my job, but I was like so used to just like going too hard that I started like getting really abrasive when people started asking me for things. It really started like pounding down on me, and I like felt bad for wanting to sleep a lot, and like my whole weekends were just sleeping. I wasn't going out and meeting people because I was working all day, and to a certain extent, I'm grateful for having worked for so many execs without anybody else at the company, because working at a small startup company, everybody's the head of their own department. So I think that is why I accelerated so much and I learned so much, because I was across everything. But at a certain point, I was catching up with somebody from the fellowship. And after that lunch, he kind of looked at me and he was like, I don't really recognize you from the last time we talked. You've become like this kind of little salesman, this little businessman. And I feel like the last time that we spoke back when you worked at the fellowship, you like enjoyed life and like appreciated the little things of life more. And he was like, are you still enjoying it? And I was like, I am. And then that night I was like struggling to sleep, and I was like, am I? So then I started that's when I was like, all right, let me focus on me and maybe like a routine that is healthy for me. Let me move, let me take walks, let me reach out to people, meet people. And then I think that all really helped me get to where I am, like just a better place where I could go back to, appreciating life more and, walking outside, seeing the birds, all that. It sounds so cheesy, but it's like, I was truly just like, when you balance work with what you want to do and then just life, it's like I was working on development, reading scripts, doing emails, locked into the screen. Then when I, was trying to work on my writing, that's personal development, still in a screen. You go home just to open your laptop again. And then I like watching movies. So then you drive to the AMC, Stubbs. And then, Stubbs A-list, sorry.
A-list.
Just to sit there and watch a screen. And I thought I was going crazy because it's like, I was like punishing myself for what I want to do because I was like, I can never get a break. And I think that's what like really made me spiral. Anyways, that was a really long way of me saying,
No, because I've been feeling similar. It's like I was lying to myself. Like that's something that I took from that. It's like you're lying to, I'm doing everything I want to do, and then you just get kind of lost in it because I was just doing too much, and I was doing these events that were supposed to make me happy, but I didn't even take a second to appreciate them or internalize them or sit with these amazing opportunities that I found or that were given to me because I was too busy focusing on the next thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, why am I not enjoying what I'm doing? Because you're not appreciating it and you're moving too fast.
Yeah.
It will always catch up with you.
Yeah.
Always. You think
really
you could
will.
run away from those things. It will always catch up with you and bite you in the ass.
There's that like, I feel like when we were in school or maybe it's just still that kind of like grind mindset thing of like, you have to be the first.
Yep.
You're, now that we're graduated, it's like everyone's kind of sneaking look at, okay, like, if we're interested in the same thing, who's beating the other person, who's getting farther. And it's just such a toxic way to live. Like when I was in middle school, we had to take this quiz about, what are the qualities that you should put on your resume. This is actually so ridiculous now that I'm remembering.
Middle school you're going to? Literally,
it was
you're
private
like,
school.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Stop
like a
there.
theater school.
Yup. Okay.
We took this quiz, and everyone got like diligent, like organized, blah blah blah, all this stuff, and they like projected all of the results, and I was the only person whose main quality was appreciates beauty in nature. And
that's beautiful. That's really, really beautiful.
Everyone made fun of me at the time because they were like, what is that? Can you put that on a resume? I honestly don't think you can, but but it was like, that's true. The drive mindset of like, okay, look at your future. How are you going to get to that future? It really starts to destroy you because no matter where you are in this business, it's still an industry of creating and art. And like you can't really create art if you're just strategizing your next move because that's just business. And so that's like when things really started to fall apart. I think a big turning point for me was that my company, a lot of what we do is co-productions. How do we work with other countries, whether that be local streamers or otherwise, to also get things done. And we do a lot of those co-productions with Europe, and all of the relationships kind of sat in Europe. And because I'm, my mom's from Korea, I'm half Korean. I grew up with a lot of global TV. My like interest during quarantine went from ASL to like a very crazy pivot into like Bollywood and Indian film. And so I started like watching all of that and figuring out that industry and then the Thai industry. And so I kind of observed what my company was doing in Europe. And I was like, I got promoted around a year and change into, being at the company. And I went in front of the company and I was like, hey, everything that you're doing in Europe, I think can actually be done with Asia as well with co-productions. If you let me take these observations and these theories and these passions for these industries and like make them into relationships. Like I think that we can genuinely make shows and, you know, get money from certain streamers and just make things, which is the goal for everyone right now and should, you know, be the goal for everyone. So they were amazing. They were really receptive to my proposal, and they sent me to Korea for the Busan International Film Festival. I went alone. And this is where LinkedIn comes back.
Yes.
Because in America, as I said, I feel like LinkedIn is a game where it's like you connect with as many people as possible. It's a lot of, you know, like chatting on there, but not a lot of people get back to you. It's like, you know, people have like 16K followers, which is like, I didn't even know that existed. You know, it's like a social media platform almost. But in Korea, what I noticed is that like not a lot of people use LinkedIn. So I was set to go to Korea. I only had one meeting set, and I was so scared because our CEO, Joe Lewis, I love him a lot, and he's very smart, and he is very like, he just puts the drive in you, and he like fuels my fire. And he kind of was like, this trip, you will determine whether or not we send people at your level into international trips alone.
Just to give a little background, Kianni is a coordinator at her company, and she runs like, just so there's an understanding of like where you're at.
Right.
Because just to understand of like where the story is going and what's happening. Like she did the, you know, the assistant track, got promoted within like what, 10, 12 months.
Yeah.
They don't usually send coordinators to film festivals because film festivals are like, you're presenting the company.
Right.
So basically like the stakes were high to set the scene. And like, I kind of want to give a little backstory because these things don't happen very often.
No.
And they don't put their back behind someone at your age and at your level and with your experience. Even though you had so much experience from all the work you were doing, people don't trust young people in the industry, and they don't trust really coordinators. And her company was like, here you go, send it. And so, okay, back on the story.
Yeah, I had an empty schedule, and I like don't really like, you know, going to parties and talking to people. So I went on LinkedIn, I typed in my favorite Korean shows and films and companies, and I started messaging people. And there were CEOs of companies. There were directors of dramas. There were like really high level people who had like 15 connects on LinkedIn. And so when I messaged them, they were like, oh yeah, let's hang. And I was like, oh my God, that is so, I mean, I feel like the barrier of entry for communication was just so different, because I think in America it's like such like a gatekeeping confidence game of like, oh, you're like as a little assistant, a little coordinator, like you shouldn't be talking to me yet. You know, you should get to an exec before you talk to me, unless it's like some mentor talk. Like I don't want to talk business with somebody who doesn't really know anything yet, or who I don't think knows anything yet. And in Korea it was like, oh yeah, no, let's talk. I went from an empty slate to like back-to-back meetings of just meeting people. I met with Coupang Play, which is a local streamer in Korea, and it's basically like the Amazon Prime of Korea. They're like a video derivative of a tech online shopping service. They were talking about how they were like open to anything. Like, yeah, we'll do a mixed language show. We just want to like beat the global streamers and like get things out there that are high quality and that we believe in. And you just see how many people are aligned in your philosophies and just want to do shit, but they can't figure out how to meet people who think the same way. So, you know, I was just kind of like so grateful to meet all of these people, and I'm still, you know, trying to find things with them now. I am finding things with them now. But yeah, I mean, that's like kind of the biggest leap that I've taken. When you know, back to like the mental health thing of like, when you're carrying a whole company from a support level, you start to like, you know, think that these people are like, these execs are like children, and you're like their mom, and it's like, oh my God, will they be able to like get this notification to wake up on time? Like if I'm not there? And it's like, yeah, they will, because they were assistants before and they're like grown ass adults. And you kind of
they become dependent on you, and you become dependent on them. You seek their validation as much as like, you know, you want to be needed in a sense, because if like you feel needed at that level, it's like, okay, I'm important because they're doing important things and I'm connected to them because they need me to make, you know, the ship move forward. Like codependency of what they need from you and what you need from them. You know, it's like this very open channel. So that is a very understandable thought process.
Yeah. I mean, for the first 2 years of working at the company, I was like, I would wake up and I'd be like, oh my God, am I going to get fired? With like no evidence that I was going to. But I thought that I'm a very like, what is it called? Negative reinforcement. Like if you threaten me, then I'm like, all right, let's do this. Let me prove myself. And so that was like what got me out of bed every morning. I was like, okay, I might get fired today. So let me like do something that to make them like me and like, so I won't get fired. Literally no one was saying that like, saying that I was going to get fired. But that's like kind of what drove me. And it's like not a good way to think, obviously. I think I functioned so much out of fear because I didn't know. I was like getting so much positivity and like from around me, and everyone was I was like, this can't be that easy. I guess it was like, what, I can't. I
need to work for it. I need to work really hard for
Right.
anything I want. And if anything doesn't take hard work, then I'm not worthy of it, or it's not meant for me, or I need to work harder to prove that I should deserve it. All this bullshit.
Exactly. Because I was like ready to go into a toxic environment where like things were getting thrown at my head and all that stuff. And, there are definitely lows and there are definitely hard moments, but I would say I'm very grateful that like the biggest issue of the pipeline of like going from somebody in a support position to get recognized for things outside of that is like people look down on your ideas and they don't listen to you. And I was able to cross that barrier early because they listened to me and my ideas. Because it's like, if you have a strategy to make something happen, it's like, why not? And that really should be how it always is, but it's not. And so I'm like, I'm eternally grateful to Amplify for like kind of bringing me in and just letting me, just fucking go for it.
And that is what draws me to, because you, again, full circle moment is you just go for it. You go for it and you make shit happen. But I kind of want to ask you a little question. The guest from the last episode left you a question.
Okay.
What piece of media / art made you want to work in entertainment, and why was it impactful?
I think that there's a couple answers. Like when I was 10, back when I still wanted to be a zoologist, my mom took me out of school on my birthday, gave me a box of tagalongs, the Girl Scout cookie with the peanut butter. They don't taste the same now, but they were
None of the Girl
then.
Scout cookies taste the same now.
Okay, real.
So what are the coconut ones with the little chocolate on the bottom?
Samoas,
well done.
But she gave me a box of tagalongs. We sat on the train and we went into the city to go see Wicked. And I just remember that being so special of like, she knew that I wanted to go like visit New York and go to a show. And it's kind of cheesy because Wicked's like the one thing that people see. But so that's like, the first kind of thing of like media is an event. It's like it sweeps you, it immerses you. I just remember like being so amazed by that show. I also think that like the show that kind of formed my philosophy and like made a huge impact on me. There's a Korean show called Strongest Delivery Man, and it's literally just about this dude who travels around Korea and is like a delivery dude for like the jjajangmyeon. Did you ever have that when you were in Korea, like the black bean noodles?
Never had that, but I know what you're talking about.
We should go. Okay, I'll take you
I
to
would
a
love
place
that.
here. Yeah. But he like goes around, he does deliveries and he like helps all of the other delivery men. And I binged that show. I remember that was the first show I like really binged. I started it at 11 p.m. and then I had to wake up for school at 7 and I was still watching it. And it was so simple. The philosophy of the show was like just how to be a good person. And it had like one of the first redemption arcs that I actually believed in a piece of media. And I was kind of like a little annoying asshole, like as a child. And watching that show, I was like, oh my God, like I want to be a good person. Like I want to help anyone, like, everyone, and just live my life very, simply. I guess I'm not doing that now, but like I want to at some point. And it made me realize that like a piece of media can like change you and like make you want to, go for it. And that's why I'm like so scared of like what children's media is becoming with like all of the AI slop and stuff that people are finding on YouTube, instead of like having those like Little Einstein like kind of shows that are like, hey, this is, appreciating art, appreciating music, appreciating friendship.
And they're so gentle, those shows. They're like
very
so gentle and
Exactly.
you feel okay. It's not a bunch of colors. It's just very simple and gentle, and you just feel like,
And this is like kind of me getting on my soapbox because I don't work in children's media, but just like the whole like skibbity toilet whatever like slop that's coming out that like kids are repeating back and stuff. I think that we need to like be really careful about the media that we're developing. It's our babies, and like that goes to people and it can really impact them. Like I became a better person because I was watching TV, and I think a lot of people generations now are becoming worse people because they're watching the stuff that's coming out on like these YouTube videos and stuff. So it just like,
oh yeah, 100%. I used to babysit, and these things that these kids watch, it was just like people playing with slime and like baseless videos with nothing to say, and they just sit there like zombies, getting lost in this horrible content. And I'm like, what is this shit?
I know.
What is this bullshit? What is this teaching a kid? And it's like kids shows, and like what you watch is you absorb it, you internalize it, and you like move through it. And I don't think people realize like what they're absorbing is affecting them. I just truly don't think people realize.
I know, exactly. So it's like there's that joke that people who work in entertainment and like industries like ours, it's like, oh, it's not that important. And I do think to an extent like people do take themselves very seriously in a way that's not cool. But I do think that what we do is important, and the things that we create, it's not just about winning the Emmys. It's not just about winning awards and like who's the coolest kid on the block and who's getting like, you know, who makes the new fucking, I don't know, like Timothée Chalamet or something. I don't know. But it's like we have to care about it more than these surface level things. Like we have to care about what's coming out and what the stories are and what the impact is going to be. And I think that like, as long as you put your heart and soul into something, it'll show.
1,000%.
Instead of just being a trend of like, oh man, that won so many Emmys, let's just do the same fucking thing with like some actor who's like similar. It's like, no. Like we all have our voices. That's how we got here. And so it's just so sad for me to see that people like think that they have to take a step back and just be drones, because that's not why we're here. Like we're here to create, and no matter where you are in development or the agency or whatever, it's like we got to care about this shit, and I will always care.
Oh, and that's why I care about you. No, exactly. But bleeding into that, what is something that you want to ask the next guest? What is a question you want to leave with them?
I think that a lot of people, when they talk about their careers, they have two very different extremes of thanking people. It's either like the very buzzy name that was their mentor who helped them, or it's like, thanks mom, thanks dad for like helping me and supporting me through this. Both very, very valid people. But when it comes to like a champion, like somebody who championed you, because this industry is all about people helping each other, and teaming together and connecting. Who was your champion that you don't usually mention? Who was that assistant who passed along your resume? Who was that person who helped you when you were going to quit and go to the Peace Corps? Who was that person?
Robbie Thompson. That was my person.
Yeah. It's like, you know, who is your champion? Who helped you? Who you would like to thank, but maybe you would forget in an award speech or something like that?
That is a great question. That is something so valuable, because there's so many people in like the extremes, you know, the higher ups, my bosses, whatever, and my mom and my family and all those people. There's so many people in the in-between who constantly like, you know, down here, up here. But I'm saying like I should go like this, but it's like there's so many people. Now I'm answering the question, but it's like there's so many people in the middle ground who like the day-to-day people. I called my friend Charlotte, who was on the last season, and I was like, dude, I'm questioning everything. Like just yesterday I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't know if this is worth it. I don't know, you know, if I'm gonna get anywhere. And I'm just like, wow, you know, Charlotte, like Robbie, like Nicole, you know, Eli, like I can go on and on, but it's such an amazing question. But we will end it on that note, because we can end it on a high.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sharing your words of wisdom. And like, there's just we didn't even get, that was the tip of the iceberg, and all the things that you've, you know, told me, and like all the things you've overcome, and like the work you do. So it's like truly that was the tip of the iceberg. And I know there's so much more under it that you like could have shared and said, but thank you for sharing what you did and being here today.
Yeah, of course. I can always come back next season.
Oh, there we go. More to share part 2. Thank you.
Thank you.